triangles are similar, and if they are similar, then find the scale factor using ABC as the preimage. I'm guessing that's why most of us missed it if we missed it. Either that or we just guessed. Maybe I didn't make it worth another grade and you guys just guessed. Think of the pre-image as the before picture. Now, technically, there are two questions here. They are first asking you if the triangles are similar. So are they similar, yes or no, and why?
Yes.
Why yes? Okay, it is similar by angle similarity. If you feel that time is not an issue, because sometimes I don't trust these diagrams, if you feel time is not an issue, I would still go back, see how they gave you information about the sides. I would make sure that the sides are proportional, just to make sure that the diagram is not screwed up. Like I would see in between the one arc and the two arcs, the 15 and the 20, make sure that 15 divided by 20 gives you the same fraction or decimal as 6 divided by 8 does, and as 12 divided by 16, which they would. They would all give you 3/4. 3/4 is the scale factor. Okay, so now if ABC is the pre-image, if that is the before, is the triangle getting bigger or enlarging, what we called it, or is it getting smaller, or is it a reduction? It's an enlargement, so the scale factor, should it be greater than 1 or less than 1? Greater. So I just said the scale factor was 3/4, but that wasn't taking into consideration what came before and what came after. So if it is getting larger, actually, it's not going to be 3/4. The scale factor would be 4/3. I'm glad you're joining in. Can you take the hoodie off? Appreciate it. Mohammed, you too, man. It's not that cold in here. Just think warm thoughts. Any questions on this one? These are the same ones that are on the retake. If you're gonna do the retake, I'm doing it for you. Find the missing length indicator. Yeah, okay. These are where it gets a little tricky. So instead of a question mark, I would advise you to define a variable, right? We don't put question marks into equations. So would I confuse anybody if I get this question mark and write it as an X? Is that gonna confuse anybody? Okay. So you have a couple of options here. You could split these up into two separate triangles and try to look for the scale factor that way, into a smaller one and a bigger one. Where if you did it that way, on the smaller one, this would be X and this would be 9. And then on the bigger one, it would be 15 and 9 is 24. And then here you would have 32. And muchas gracias. What would your scale be? What are a set of corresponding measurements that we know both of? Leilani, it's easier to see the board if you don't cover your eyes. What would the scale factor be? I need to set up a proportion on similar figures. Sides are proportional. I need to write a proportion. What would the scale?
X over 32 and 7 over 24.
It's a 9.
It's 9 over 24.
Okay, so you could say 9 over 24. You could say 24 over 9. It's just a matter of what came first or what came last, but that doesn't really make a difference here. Those of you saying 32 over 24, yes, there is a way that you could write a fraction that way, but that's not, in order to keep things uniform, I taught you to compare corresponding measurements. These two measurements correspond, those two measurements correspond. Now, if you wanted to get a little bit fancier, I don't know, you might think it's harder, but if you wanted to get fancier, we learned something called parallel proportionality theorem that says that I could just go across, if I have parallel lines, and compare those corresponding measurements. So meaning I could make one fraction be X over 9. And then the other one I would compare these two, but what do I put for this up here? Because I don't know how to define that. Oh, yes, I do. Can we agree that 15 would go on the bottom because it's on the same side of the 9? It's on the bottom where the 9 is. So if the entire side is 32, what would this leftover part be when I take away X? 32 minus X. The entire 32 minus X. I don't know what X is, but I know whatever's left over is just 32 minus X. Here's my proportion, so cross multiply. And I really don't care which way. You can do it the way I showed you first. You can do it this way. It doesn't matter. Okay, so cross multiply. That gets rid of the fractions. 15x is equal to 9 times 32 is at 282, 288. 288. Somebody check my math for me. Work a little more. Scotty, you're the calculator guy.
Yes, sir.
That gives me 24x is equal to 288 divided by 24. So the missing measurement is 12. And remember what we were looking for, this x was defined as this part here. That part is 12. If you would have done it the other way, you would have gotten the same thing. Do you want to see me do it the other way? Does anybody want to see it? Yeah, it's the way I started, Kenny. It's the one where I split up the two triangles. Where I drew a little triangle and I drew a big triangle and I said 9 and this is x and then this is 24 and this is 32. But that depends on you. 9 over 24, x over 32. Okay, let's do it that way. What is 9 times 32 divided by 24? Cross multiply 24x, put a 9 times 32. So multiplying and then dividing. Leilani, is that what you're doing? Are you dividing now? That'd be tripping. Okay, at the same time, I mean, this is a standardized test problem like SAT, ACT. You're gonna see these all over the place. Okay. Anytime you see anything involving those golden rays of sunshine, it's a similarity problem. Because what cast shadows? People. Okay, yeah, it could be objects, but objects that are doing what? That are moving.
That are solid.
Standing in the sun.
Well, yes, or underneath some type of a light source, and the most abundant source of light is the sun. Yeah. So, the reason why these are similarity problems is think about it. The sun emits rays, and at any you'll always see these problems say at the same time of the day. They have to make that statement because as long as this is occurring at the same time of the day, the sun emits light and rays. Those rays would be traveling at the same angle, so we would have this angle be the same as this one. And then as long as you're not leaning somewhere, as long as you're standing straight up, you would assume this is 90 degrees. So what we have are, with the object, the shadow, and the light rays, those make a triangle. Why would those triangles be similar? By angle similarity. The angles being the fact that you're standing up straight, and that at the same time of the day, the light is hitting both objects at the same angle. So let's see if we can set up a proportion because they're acting as the sides of the triangles. Let's see, they want to know, it's a man and his son. What is the height of the man's son? We'll use a K for Kenny. So if he was involved. Azit, you want to take part in this one? What can I use as a scale here? What would be a good scale to use? Why? Okay, yeah, I gotta use 50 over 20 or 20 over 50. Let's just use 20 over 50. Either one is fine, but if I use 20 over 50, the K has to be on top because the K is part of the same triangle with the 20. If I want to use 50 over 20, I have to flip the other fraction. You seem worried. I feel like really, I'm worried. Are you okay? Yeah, Natalie, yeah. That's like worried face. Like terrified. Okay. 50K is equal to 20 times 75. 1500. So 50K is equal to 1500. Divide by 50, like all the cool kids do. 30. The man's son is 30 inches tall. I asked you guys for any of these practice tests that are on Google Forms, if I give you a question that is short response, just put the number because in order to grade it, if not, and I still try to do this just in case because I know like right now I'm talking to you and maybe only 60% of you are actually paying attention. So I try to do this anyways, but just so that you know what goes into this, I have to account for every single possible variation that you guys would put in. So like this answer ended up being 30, right? So I have to tell the Google form accept 30 as an answer. Accept 30 IN as an answer, like for inches. Accept 30 space IN. Accept 30 IN period. And like maybe they put like a for punctuation, saying that's an abbreviation. 30 space inches. 30 inches without the space. Like I have to put every single possible variation that you would enter. I might not account for every way that you would put it in. So again, I try to put like more than one possible option in because I know that right now I'm talking and you guys aren't listening, or not everybody's listening. But the safest way, if you want to make sure you get credit and it's not going to be a clerical mistake, just put the number on a Google form. Just put the 30. Okay, we had some of these on the assignment, Mickey. So h is a point, so the point is x and y, but here we just want the y. So what number would the y be? You might be better off separating these as two separate triangles if you like. You don't necessarily have to, but maybe that would help you. And h is part of the bigger triangle, right? And the nice thing is that we're starting at the origin. So there's no SRA involved here or anything like that. Like I don't have to like subtract or add. It's just a matter of, all right, I'm looking for, let's call this, you want to call it y or you want to call it h? H. Okay, fine. So let's say h is this one. Oh, actually, that's on the big one. So h is the vertical on the big one. On the smaller one, horizontally, this is 1 unit from the origin. Vertically, this is 2 inches from the origin. And then on the bigger triangle, horizontally, this is 2 units. What can I use as a scale factor? But remember, when I say scale factor, like we need to know both measurements. There shouldn't be an unknown in a scale factor. Yeah, I would use either 1 over 2 or 2 over 1. Let's just use 1 over 2. And if I put the 1 on top, then the 2 that goes in the same triangle should be on top and the 8 should be on the bottom. If they wanted this as an ordered pair, I know that anything on the y-axis is going to be 0 comma. So, like, I already knew the x is going to be 0, but that's why here all we want, what we're looking for is just the y. 1 times h is h, 2 times 2 is 4. Correct, 4. What is the y? Good job, Javier. Mohammed, it got back on your head, man. Any questions? Bazid, any questions for you? Tomorrow's test will be curved, so. Hey, look at that. This looks familiar. Let's see if we learned something. You can either break this up into 2 separate triangles, but actually it looks like that wouldn't help you. Let's see. Would that help you? No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't because you have to know this up here. Yeah, this one here you're gonna only be able to do by parallel proportionality theorem. So we want x, which is this entire side. So now, if I use parallel proportionality theorem, I can compare the 14 with the 8. I can use that as my scale. Okay. No, I can't use x with 12 because this is the entire side. Now I could maybe, and I would. I want to make sure this will work. You should be able to use x over 20 if you want to. That should work. 12 plus 8 is 20. I used my fingers and my toes. That gave me 20. I started off with all my fingers and then 2 toes, and then I added the 8 toes that were left, and that gave me 20. So, no, but I know where they are. So that would work, but just to stick with the nature with which parallel proportionality theorem was intended, I want to compare this 12 to what's directly over here. If I am going to call this entire side x, which is fine, that's what we're looking for, how can I define just this little piece right here? No. X minus 14. So I would say x minus the 14 What's up there? And I can compare that to 12. Cross multiply, so 8 times x minus 14 is equal to 14 times 12. 8x minus 112. Scotty in a minute. 140 and 20, 168. Yep. So plus 112 plus 112. 8x is equal to 280. Is that divide even? Again, 35. 35. Yahtzee. Huh? It depends. It depends. Remember, measurements can be negative, so you would put the bigger measurement first. On this first one that we did, the bigger measurement, the entire side was the 32. So we defined this as the whole 32 minus the x that we were looking for on the bottom. On the one that we just did right now, the entire side was the x that we were looking for, so that would come first. That's the whole side minus the piece, which was 14. Are these triangles similar? If so, state the postulate of the theorem. This is one of the ones missed the most. Hey, hi. Are those two triangles similar? Yeah. So what? There's an angle and an angle, so that's angle, angle? No. No, that's not enough. All we know is these are right triangles. There's no other information given. So, yeah, I put in the answers not similar because to try to make it more in line with the question. But it isn't necessarily that they're not similar. There's just not enough information given. It could be, but there's not enough information given. It was multiple choice. So, of all the choices given, not similar was the best of the choices. Are you guys making friendship bracelets? Yeah. Yeah. Are you only using natural, non-GMO ingredients in order? Okay, good. All right, this is a little blurry. This might have been the one missed the most because these aren't in order. The ones for the midterm are in order, but these aren't in order. I think this might have been the one missed. No, there was one that nobody got right. I could look that one up. Let me look that one up real quick because there was one that nobody got right. The second to last one. All right, when we get to the second to last one, I'll do that one next just to skip to it. The second to last one, nobody got right. No, it's it'll be I'll do that one next. This is the one nobody got right. Yeah, that just looks hard, right?
I just put it right. Go ahead. I didn't even answer that one. 16. I put 16 already.
Let's just do this one first. So they want the perimeter of VUT. Perimeter is all sides added up. So far, I know two of the sides. So far, I know the perimeter is 49. So that's the side on the bottom plus 38. But I'm missing this entire side here, VU. Now I know part of it is 8. I know that part of it is 8, but I'm missing VM. But if I use parallel proportionality theorem, I actually have enough to find this and it wouldn't even be all that challenging. Now it looks like you could also split these up into two separate triangles and just use regular, just use a proportion. But I'll use that theorem to tell me, okay, I'm going to use 8 over 14 as my scale. The VM is on the same side as the 8. Over here on the other side, what corresponds to it is Vn. And even though they don't directly give me that measurement, how can I find that very quickly? Very good. 49 minus 14 is 35. So 14 times Vm, 8 times 35. 14 times Vm is equal to 240 and 280. divide by 20, 14, that should give you 20. So now that I know that VM is 20, I already knew that MU was 8. So 20 and 8 would be the last, 28 would be the last side. So the perimeter is 49 plus 28 plus 38. 50 is 66 and 49 is 115. Check my math there, starting, come on. I sure wish it, wouldn't it be nice if the teacher just gave me the answers to what you were doing before? You went back and did it, that'd be cool. Alright, this is the one that everybody missed. Solve for x. So if you use parallel proportionality theorem, here I have this 3x plus 12. What can I compare that to if I'm using parallel proportionality theorem? I could compare that to 16, and that would be equal to, on the same side of the 3x plus 12 is the 45. What would I compare that to? To 20, yes. How'd you get 20? 36 minus 16, which is 20. You writing all this down, Jair? Or you're just going to do a Romero flicks and chill later, and just catch up and write it down like that? 60x plus 240 is equal to 720. 720 minus 240 minus 240. 60x is equal to 480. Okay. Divided by 60, that should be 8. X is equal to 8. This is the one that nobody got right. Okay. Find the missing length. The triangles are similar. So you just gotta figure out corresponding measurements. I guess they don't lay it. So the way that you would figure out here what corresponds to the similarity statement. Okay, so we look at the 60. The 60 is MK. So this is K and M, first and last. What does K and M correspond to? K and D, which is 25. So 60 over 25 is equal to, now I know the 48 is part of the same triangle with the 60. So that has to go on top. And that should correspond to the question mark. We'll just use an X for that, just to make sure. 48 is KL, that's the first two. Question mark KC? Yes, it is. We'll just use an X for that. 60X is equal to 25 times 48. 400. Is it that your popularity has like just grown recently, or you just care less? You seem to be more involved like a couple weeks ago. Find the missing length. Again, they give you a similarity statement. So let's see what corresponds. Here I can see that DC is the 50. Like that's the only measurement I know on that triangle with the X. So let's see what this corresponds to. CD are the last 2 points. So that's going to correspond with LK. Don't just go by the diagram. You get, like they purposely make diagrams misleading to try to get you to not match up the correct corresponding measurements. So 50 over LK. Oh, see, look at that. You would have made the mistake. Because look at the similarity statement. CD are the last 2. So the last 2 are LK. LK is 40. Case in point. Huh? Why would I pick the last 2? I didn't pick the last 2. I just saw that the 50 is CD. CD are the last 2 points mentioned in BCD. I don't think that's disputable, right? So what are the last 2 points in MLK? LK. What is LK? It's 40. So then, yeah, then that means that the X is going to correspond to the 32. You can double check that with the similarity statement. 40X is equal to 50 times 32. That should be 1600. 40X is equal to 1600 divided by 40. Is that also 40? Yep. And also to be clear, there was no X here to begin with. They didn't put an X. I just used an X. Even more so for a reason like this for a Google form. Don't put the X equals. Put the 40. Find the missing line. The triangles are similar. Okay. So let's see what corresponds. Luckily they give us a similarity statement. I'm looking for this measurement. So if I look at the 72, that's LN. L and N are the first and last, Kenny. What does that correspond to? EF? Yeah. L and N, they're the ones with the red underlines underneath. Okay, go ahead, Charisma. He's struggling. Just help him out. What is it? NL. Yeah, it does. So NE is going to be the 12. That's what I said. Okay, thanks, Kenny. 72 over 12 is equal to the X that I'm looking for over the 9. 12X is equal to 72 over 9. 6 what? 48. 48. Twinkle, tweet. Any questions there? Okay. It's kind of busy. There's a lot going on here. Let's solve for X. So X is on the left side. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna split this one up. I have a feeling this one will be easier for you to split up. They do tell us that that the triangles are similar. Now there is a way to do this with parallel proportionality theorem, but I think it would be easier for you to split these up. So let's do a little triangle, big triangle. So on the little triangle we got a 12, we got a 13, and we got a 7. On the big triangle we have a 2x minus 2, a 26, and a 14. They've already told us the triangles are similar, so we don't have to test for similarity. If I want, let's get a scale. It looks like we have two different numbers we can use for scale, 2 different fractions, doesn't matter. Scale means like no variables. What are 2 corresponding measurements that are known? You can use 7 and 14 or 14 over 7, either one. Or you can even use 13 and 26. Let's assume you use 7 and 14 because you want to use smaller numbers. So I'll use 7 over 14 is equal to the 2x minus 2 that we're looking for is part of the 14, so that'll have to go on the bottom. And then what does that correspond to? The 12. So 7 times 2x minus 2 is equal to 14 times 12. 14x minus 14 is equal to 140, and 28 is 168. Plus 14 plus 14. 14x is equal to 182 divided by 14. 13. Any questions there? Starting to get a kind of a theme here, huh? Starting to see a lot of these. They give us a similarity statement. I'm looking for x, so they see x as part of the FA. Kenny, what does AF correspond to? Very good. So AB would be the 30. So I would do, even though this is not considered a scale, I just want to see which one it corresponds to and make sure I have that established. So then the 24, I would assume is going to correspond to the 35, but I can double check that. 24 is AE, that's the first and the last. 35 is A between A and T, that's first and last. So 24 is part of the 4x minus 12, that will go on the bottom. 35 would go on top. So calculator time. 35 times 4x minus 12 is equal to 30 times 24. That's 140x minus 420. Check my math. Is equal to 720 plus 420 plus 420. 140x is equal to 1140. 1140. And then if you divide by 140, what's x equal to? Okay, then I might have done something wrong. I think I messed up my mental math. 30 corresponds to the 4x minus 12. 35 is part of the 30, so that should go on top. The 24 should go on the bottom. So 35 times 4, that should be 140. 35 times negative 12, 350 and 70, yeah. Negative 420. And then 30 times 24 is 720, right? So 720 plus 420. Yeah, but I checked all of them before. There shouldn't have been any decimals. Four x minus 12. Huh? 1140 divided by 1. AF corresponds to AB. 35 times 12. Did I write something wrong? That's what I got too. Let me see what the answer key said. So there they have 10. How do they get 10? Check 720 plus 420 again. Huh? They should be based on the unless they have the similarity statement wrong. It could be that the similarity statement is in the wrong order. The answer says 10. So like if I put in a 10, that would make this 28. So they're saying that you know what? I think that's it. I think it's that the similarity statement was wrong. Because if I do if I do it the way that this is now, if I put in a 10 for x, that would mean that 30 over 28 is supposed to equal 35 over 24, which it doesn't. But if I were to flip these, 30 over 24 is 35 over 28. That should be correct. 30 times 28 should give you the same thing as 35 times 24. Huh? They're both 840, right? So the problem is that this is. It was on the practice test, but remember the practice test was curved. So it shouldn't make that big of a difference because when you curve a test, now your average is based on the class average. Like everybody had to deal with this problem. So it should kind of negate itself. But what I will do is I'll take this off the retake one. I'll delete it from the retake. So that you won't have to, it shouldn't make an issue. It shouldn't be an issue. All right, angle bisector theorem. We worked on this one before. What can I compare the 20 to? 6x. 6x minus 7. It's not really a scale, but okay, they correspond. And then the 20 is on the same side as the 12. What can I compare that to? 33 minus 12. They're giving it as 12. So that would be 21. So 12 times 6x minus 7 is equal to 20. So 72x minus 84 equal to 420 again. Okay. Plus 84 plus 84. 72x is equal to 504. Seven. Shady, you wrote all this down? Okay, find the missing length indicated. All right, let's use parallel proportionality theorem here. What can I compare? Kenny, you've gotten good at this. What can I compare the 12 to? Very good. 12, 53 Then this little piece here, we're going to be 27, it'd be 15. That's 27 minus 12. What can I compare that to? Just x. Because that's what's unknown. So 12x is equal to 15 times 63 minus x. 12x is equal to 945 plus 15x. So 27x is equal to 945 divided by 27 is. That phone made its way back to your desk. Phone be tripping. All right, last one. Let's use parallel. Let's use parallel proportionality theorem. So the 4, this is where it gets a little tricky. The 4, I would have to compare it to the 21, though, minus 2x plus 7, but that 2x plus 7 would have to be in a parenthesis. Because I have the entire distance minus that, it has to be in a parenthesis. And that's equal to the 10, because 14 minus 4 is 10. And that could be over 2x plus 7. I'll solve this real quick, and then if you want to go back and watch the video, it'll be on the video. Simplify 21 minus 2x minus 7, and then distribute the negative. So I get 4 over negative 2x plus 14. So 4 times 2x plus 7 is equal to 10 times negative 2x plus 14. I don't know why there's a reason to talk for it. I can see you're packing up. Negative 20x plus 140. So plus 20x plus 20x minus 28 minus 28. 28x is equal to 112 divided by 28. I think that's 4. Okay, so I just did like half the test for you, and these are supposed to be the hardest ones.